For more than a decade, Apple trained the world to believe a very specific pattern. When Apple stayed quiet, it was because something revolutionary was coming. While Google and Microsoft were loudly promoting artificial intelligence, chatbots, AI search, copilots, Apple said almost nothing. And people assumed that meant Apple was preparing something even bigger behind the scenes. But in 2024, the illusion finally broke. Because Apple didn't stay quiet due to them being ahead. Apple stayed quiet because it was way behind. The AI war was never really about building the best chatbot. It was always about something far more powerful. Who controls the next operating system of the world? Google has Gemini woven into Search, Gmail, Docs, and Android. Microsoft has Copilot embedded into Windows, Office, and GitHub. OpenAI sits on top of everything, providing the models that power much of the modern AI ecosystem. Together, these companies are quietly taking control over how people search, how they write, how they code, and ultimately how they think. Apple, meanwhile, controls something very different. Apple controls the hardware. iPhone, Macs, that used to be enough. But AI doesn't care about devices. AI cares about data, models, and cloud-scale computation. And that is exactly where Apple is weakest. Apple absolutely has AI. Face ID, camera processing, keyboard prediction are all powered by machine learning. But Apple built its AI for a completely different era. Their systems were designed to run privately, locally, and quietly on your device without sending data to the cloud. That made sense when AI was small. It protected battery life, improved speed, kept user data private. However, Apple's models are trapped inside phones. They don't learn globally and they don't scale. Apple's problem isn't just that it underestimated AI. It's also quite fragmented. Inside Apple, there isn't one unified AI brain. There are multiple AI and machine learning teams across Siri, iOS, macOS, core machine learning, and research, all operating with different goals, different priorities, and very limited collaboration. Instead of building one powerful shared intelligence layer, Apple built dozens of smaller disconnected ones. The Siri team didn't fully own the models. The hardware team optimized for chips, not learning. The privacy team locked data away. The research team published papers that never made it into products. So while Google and OpenAI were training massive, unified models that learned from everything at once, Apple was training tiny models in silos, never really talked to each other. Apple didn't fail because it lacked talent. It failed because it lacked coordination. Siri should be Apple's crown jewel. It's been around for 13 years, longer than almost any modern assistant. In theory, it should be the smart assistant on Earth. In reality, it can barely do anything useful. You can't ask Siri to summarize a document, write a proper email, explain a PDF, or reason through a complex question. This isn't a design issue or a marketing problem, it's a model problem. Siri was built on rules and script, not on large-scale reasoning models. Apple simply never invested in large language models, also known as LLM, the way Google, Microsoft, and OpenAI did. That's why Apple is now rumored to be partnering with OpenAI and Google. And that should tell you everything. Apple, the company famous for total control over its ecosystem, is now asking rivals to provide its intelligence. That's not strategy, that's damage control. However, Apple will not disappear. Here's the uncomfortable truth about the AI gold rush. The more powerful AI becomes, the more dangerous it gets. We are already seeing hallucinated facts, fake images, copyright wars. The companies raising the fastest are also taking the biggest risks. Google and OpenAI are building systems that sound smart but doesn't actually understand what they say. Apple, meanwhile, is moving slowly not because it's weak, but because it sells something much more fragile than software: trust. When an iPhone makes a mistake, people blame Apple. When a ChatGPT plugin leaks data, people blame no one. In a world flooded with AI-generated lies, the most valuable thing won't be intelligence, it will be reliability. And that may be the one advantage Apple still understands better than anyone else. The AI race isn't just about who gets there first, it's about who survives when the mistakes start to matter.